right now. There we go. What is going on, everybody, and welcome to Weekly Wrestling Recap. I am your host, Seth Jewish Thunder Bayer. What is happening, everybody? Tonight we are recapping, as always, the week that is known as professional wrestling. And joining me on this week's episode is my special guest, Sentri the Mad Collector. My man, what's up?
What is going on, brother? What is up, people in the chat? For those of you that do not know what the Weekly Wrestling Recap is, get yourself acquainted, because this show is already just too sweet.
Nice. My man cutting promos like a champ. So how's your week been going, man?
It's been good, dude. It's like we're hitting the ground running out there as much as possible with all the toy stuff, a lot of wrestling talk to be had for sure. I think the past couple of weeks, really, there's been a lot going on. And then, as you know, tonight, right now, getting underway, a pay-per-view that I have been really anxiously anticipating, which is All Out. So it looks like our boy Sergeant Funko's there live. That's crazy, dude.
Well, he lives in Tampa now. So
that's right. He moved, right?
So he's over there now, hanging out, watching that stuff. So I saw that picture of him that he posted on Instagram, which was pretty cool, man. I'm actually quite jelly of that. I would love to be at a actual live event, because I can't even remember the last time I was freaking at one.
Yeah. And I honestly, I can't either, actually.
It's been way too long.
30, and then I couldn't, and then before that, I don't even know.
It's like we listen, like we hope it gets better at some point, and I mean, obviously AEW is slowly working the fans back in, where WWE, I guess, could maybe be a little bit more cautious and still doing their Thunderdome bit. So who really knows? So right now we've got 17 people watching. We've got 9 thumbs up, into that one person that gives us the thumbs down every time. Please go eat a hot bag of dicks. So in the chat right now, we got Ronaldo, we got Danny Dolphin, we got the Troll Patrol. Finally, the Troll has come back to MCE. We got my boy Jason, we got Mike, we got Jay Funko. What is going on, everybody in the chat? Thank you for joining us on another episode of Weekly Wrestling Recap. So with that being said, let's dive right down into it, starting off with recapping who are the predictions from Payback. So as it seems, I won all the matches I predicted.
Really?
So I had Reigns winning, I had Baszler and Nia Jax, I had Keith Lee, I had Bobby Lashley winning, I had Dom and Ray winning, and I had Matt Riddle beating Corbin. I had most of those matches all won, which was great. So
you are either very good or the WWE is very predictable.
My man, I'm going predictable. I'm going predictable. It's not about being lucky. It's about being predictable. And again, with the reuse of old storylines, it makes it very easy to predict those lines,
old freaking feuds. Yeah, just all of it. It's really unbelievable. Some of it is really crazy.
So we got more people joining us right now. What's up, Rob? What is up, my man? Insane Goon. What is going on? And we got Wind Talker. What's going on, guys? We got GeoForce Racing. We got the greatest name in YouTube, King Dingaling. What is happening, my man? What is going on? So, and we got my man Vic in the chat. What up, Vic? So, all right, guys. So let's go ahead. Let's get down to it. Let's recap what happened Monday night. So, as far as Monday night goes, Alistair Black attacking Kevin Owens. I'm not quite exactly sure how I feel about that, because I don't feel that Alistair Black should be attacking Kevin Owens. I feel Alistair Black should be going after either Murphy or Seth Rollins, especially with the fact that Seth Rollins' storyline just ended with the Mysterios. So I don't know. I think that's the way it should have been. What do you think? What do you think? Ben?
I agree. Unless there's something I'm missing, I don't know why he attacked Kevin Owens. I'd go after the guys that actually injured me. And like you said, Seth Rollins doesn't really have much going on at the immediate moment. So, it's another one of those things, and a potential storyline missed. So.
Well, I think they're trying to pull back. Now that I think about it a little bit better, I think they're trying to pull back on Rollins a little bit because obviously Becky's pregnant and they might be getting ready to take him off of TV for a little bit. I mean, who knows? But again, Murphy is still around.
Yeah, I was going to say.
He could have attacked Murphy. I feel that they're just doing this because maybe they don't have anything for Alistair Black or Kevin Owens.
That could be it. So if that were to be the case, which could very well be the case, hopefully they don't go to Underground. But that's where everyone seems to go now to die. But
that's where they all go to die, Raw Underground.
So literally buried in the Underground, in the Raw Underground. I mean, then I would just find a way then to, attack Murphy, have that happen, and somehow maybe align Murphy have him like fight with Rollins if you're going to like push him off the air, and then somehow align Murphy and Owens and have that like a little try. I don't know, but like make some sort of connection instead of just randomly attacking Kevin Owens.
Because all Kevin Owens did was go into the dressing room to ask him for an interview, and then it turned into a fight, and it was like, come on, man! It's like he's just trying to have a talk with you, just catch up to see how you're doing, and then it's unbelievable. So.
Well, that's one guy that would fit in perfectly in AEW, if you ask me, Alistair Black. So many different. He fits the whole mold vibe style. To me, I would definitely. I would like to see him there. There's a lot of guys I would still like to see over there, personally.
So I'm gonna do something different. I'm actually gonna take a quick question from the chat right now. So Alexander Rivera is saying, "What's up, guys? Quick question." How do you get past the really scripted moments watching wrestling? The cringe is what stopped me from watching. So Alexander, you got to understand something. We are fans of wrestling. We grew up watching wrestling. This has kind of been like a way of life for us. We understand that it's scripted and it's fake, but it's entertainment. And that's the key thing. There are guys that go out that are really entertaining to watch. And that I've enjoyed watching, and I'm sure Sentry can confirm what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's true, Alexander. Though I do agree with you. I think and from what Seth's saying is true too. I think one of the main differences in watching wrestling in the 90s. When I started really watching it, late 80s, but really into the 90s and mid to late 90s when things started to get big with the Attitude Era and NWO and all that. As much as everything was scripted, the promos and a lot of the storylines did blend and intertwine into reality a bit. It was more of the Wild West back then, where you didn't know if someone was going to show up to the show drunk. You didn't know if someone was actually going to really, actually fight someone and go off script a little bit during the match. Those sort of things. And so now, comparatively speaking, it's much more scripted. So from my point of view, I mean, that some of it is very cringeworthy, but then to Seth's point, it is a way of life. It's hard to get away from. As much as I complain about the WWE, and I really honestly dislike it right now, I still watch it because, it's like, I don't watch it as religiously. I mean, I keep up with everything, but I'm not as super gung-ho about it as I used to be at all. And that's been like a dwindling feeling for me, probably when they started really screwing Dolph over, back in like 2015, when they just put him in shit storyline after shit storyline after, this dude had the best match on the card, no matter where he was placed, no matter who he was wrestling. And then he's got the love triangle with freaking Summer, whatever.
Summer Rae, it was Summer Rae and
Rusev, and then he was in some stupid fling thing, and it's just like the guy. And then they took him off the air, and I was like, oh my god, are they going to repackage him and do? Then all he did was come back a month later and then came out to no music.
Came out to nothing, and he was like, I'm not going to come out and support you guys, and it was lame. They killed him, and now he's another guy that has all the potential in the world, but they don't know what to do with him.
Yeah, totally. So that for me is when it started to just like my frustration really started to set in with WWE. I'd probably say 5 years ago, and then at that point, Raw was still good. Like I actually liked Seth Rollins during his original heel run as champ. I thought that was good. I thought he was good there. He's definitely best as a heel, in my opinion. Jamie Noble and the two fucking runts.
It was Jamie Noble and Joey Styles. Or Joey Mercury.
And that was great. That was they were, and then I think Kane joined them at one point.
It was corporate Kane.
And that was a good run. Raw was still good. Kevin Owens just came up, but then you had things like Apollo Crews came up and they rushed that. And again, one of the most physically gifted guys there is, but great in NXT. They bring him up and they don't develop him at all. He's still, on the mic was kind of kind of. But you bring him up and it's like, what are you doing? And I actually like his original music better than his new music. But
So we got my man OG Geek in the chat. What is up? And we've also got my man Chad 90 FM. YouTube is 90. Chad is in the chat. The Chad. So moving on from Alistair Black, we've got the Riot Squad is on a winning streak, and because they won, the Iconics had to break up. I'm kind of interesting about why they had to do that, why they had to break up the Iconics. I'm wondering if Peyton Royce, which is obviously Sean Spears' wife, I'm wondering if maybe one of their contracts is up and maybe someone's heading somewhere or what. I mean, they went into Raw Underground after the match and basically, Peyton threw Billie Kay in there and she got the shit kicked out of her. And, so I'm kind of interesting to see if they're trying to maybe pin them against each other or what.
I haven't actually seen anything. That's again another thing that, and I also, it's like the Iconics for me. I'm like, I just don't care about them, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, they've been together obviously for a few years now, so maybe it's time for it could just simply be that maybe Peyton is going to have a singles run, and then Billie Kay is going to get buried in the underground. It's anyone's guess, but at the same time, it's kind of like, where did this? I don't. It's also not something that even like it's like that's a significant event, and I feel like. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't feel like it matters. It just like happens. And I don't know. The book, I don't know. It's
so
hard.
We got Jason in the chat right now saying that the authors of Pain were released today, which is interesting. Yeah. He was saying they were released, which is interesting because, it's funny because they were part of the, Seth Rollins gimmick. And then now it was just Murphy. So I'm wondering, are we going to have a AEW sighting, of I call them Tokar and Razor.
Yeah.
Instead of Akeem and Razor, I call them Tokar and Razor. So
maybe
I'm wondering if they'll show up there or they'll show up at Impact. I mean, both of those companies right now have money to pull these guys in. So, it'll definitely be interesting to see what happens with that. But yeah, I guess they're going to give Peyton a push from what people are saying in the chat. So I don't know. I mean, they're good as a team. So it's like I hate when they break up teams, and I think that's what's happened. And that'll go to my point when we start talking about SmackDown, because I think they're in the midst of breaking up another team, which I'm not too happy about. And then we got the Randy Orton, Keith Lee, and Seth Rollins triple threat match for the number one contender. I mean, come on. It was obvious that Randy Orton was going to win that match. He is feuding right now really hard with Drew McIntyre, and we knew that was going to happen. And the funny thing is if anybody that really pays attention to wrestling and knows this stuff, that Randy Orton didn't pin Keith Lee. He pinned Seth Rollins because they're high on Keith Lee and they don't want to make him look weak.
For now. So, well, they don't want to make him look weak, but he debuted in a skirt or a cheerleader's outfit.
Yeah.
They made him shave. They changed his music. Oh, actually, I think they changed his music because the CFOs who had, they were doing all the music for WWE, had some sort of discrepancy with WWE. WWE wasn't like paying them for something. So now they're out. They hired some other music company. And it's just, but like, I really liked his NXT music. And now
his NXT music was good.
And now it's just like some generic like old like Bobby Lashley reminds me of like Bobby Lashley. It's just really when he came out in the fucking cheerleader's outfit, the bunny suit. I was just they made the dude shave, and I'm just like, what are you fucking doing to this guy already? He's just walking out here in a skirt to talk to Randy Orton. You know, it's like thank God at least now he's in shorts. But man, because he's another one, man. Like that's one guy that for me is it's worth following.
And it's funny how out of all those guys that in NXT that are like super fantastic, that Keith Lee was brought up over guys like Gargano and Ciampa and Adam Cole and Undisputed. And I think the reason why they're still down there is because I bet you Vince is like going to Triple H and he's like, hey, he's like, are these guys ready to come up? He's like, yeah, but he's like, I ain't fucking giving them to you for you to ruin their characters, on the main roster. So, I mean, but also Vince McMahon has a thing for big guys.
Yeah, none of those dudes are big.
You look at Braun, you look at Big Show, you look at Drew McIntyre, Keith Lee, these are big guys. And for some reason, Vince McMahon is still living in the past where the big guys are what people want to see, and that's not what they want to see. They want to see really good storylines with really good wrestling.
Agreed. I think Ciampa's probably easily the biggest. And when when they were pitted up against when they were talking to the bar, they look like peanuts. Him and Gargano look like. I thank God that it's. Yeah. I love Cesaro too, and it's just like he's another one that they just he'll be the king of the underground too soon. I just. It's tough, but I think it could definitely be that. I would love to see those guys get called up. They have all those long title reigns down there, and like they are they're the face of NXT. I think it's very well. I'm sure we'll get into them soon. But I agree. I think Jason's saying that they brought back. Did they bring back Keith's Soul Music? They brought it back. I know it flashes in the beginning.
Yeah.
The opening, but then it's still the generic Bobby Lashley
Booby Lashley,
booby, big time booby,
big time Booby Lashley. And then of course everybody's favorite news segment on Raw Underground, like what Sentri said. That is a place where for wrestlers that don't have storylines or they don't know what to do with them, that's the place where they go to die. It is a really bad MMA spoof, in my opinion, and it's just amazing the nonsense that happens in there. And in my opinion, if this is what Shane McMahon thinks is going to help Raw moving forward, then they're really wrong, because whenever any kind of Raw Underground segment comes up, I change the channel because I just can't.
I do not watch it. I mean, I think the one thing I'll say is the one and only thing I like about the idea of Raw Underground is the fact that it's different. I don't like the idea itself, but I do like that they actually tried to come up with an alternative to get some of these other guys out there, some of the other extra talent that they can't put on any of the main shows right now to do something with. I think I don't like the idea at all. I don't know why you would do something people already, it's the age old, wrestling's fake fighting, this and that. But now you're actually going to take what is actually real fighting and then choreograph that and make I just don't like it at all.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Jason saying in the chat right now, you have no ideas when you rehire MVP. So MVP was actually working behind the scenes for the longest time as a producer, and helping out backstage. So when they brought him out, it was basically because they didn't have anybody and they needed someone who has decent mic skills, and his mic skills are pretty damn good. I would say.
I agree. The whole Hurt Business needs him if they're gonna. Because I love Shelton Benjamin to death, but if you're gonna do that and create that stable, you need someone to talk, and it's not gonna. It ain't Lashley. It ain't Benjamin. So
I feel like they're trying to recreate the Nation of Domination in a low key way, because you've got MVP, you've got Bobby Lashley, and you've got Shelton Benjamin, and now they're trying their damnedest to figure out a storyline to where they can get Cedric Alexander to join them, and I feel like it's kind of hurting the storyline. But and then obviously it's going to set up for a feud with Apollo Crews and Ricochet, and Mustafa Ali and all those guys, and it's like come on.
I know. Yep, it's another one of those very lackluster stables that are just there, and it's like again, it's like they have guys that I don't think they know what to do with them, so they put them together, and it's like this half-assed faction that no one cares about really. And then you give the belt to Lashley again. I mean, Lashley, and I have nothing against him at all. And I was actually excited when he came back a few years ago for the new run. He went stale literally after one show for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and the funny thing is too is if you think about it, going back to what I was saying, is that MVP is good on the mic, and so I kind of look at him as another Paul Heyman, because he's speaking for Lashley and he's speaking for Shelton Benjamin, because clearly their mic skills aren't that great, so they need somebody to help speak on their behalf.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's no question, and that would just be the world's worst stable if MVP wasn't there speaking.
NXT, man. I mean, the only thing to really talk about on NXT was that epic 60-minute Iron Man match. That was a really phenomenal match. I thought it was really great. I'm kind of shocked at the way it turned with the tie of. Of Balor and Cole evening it up. I would have felt, in my personal opinion, because Ciampa's back.
Yeah,
that Ciampa would have gone up against Balor or Cole. Because I feel that Gargano. I don't like Gargano as a heel.
I don't
like him as a heel. Ciampa is the true heel.
He needs to be heel. I don't like him as a face at all.
Yeah. Ciampa needs to be heel. Adam Cole and Finn Balor are kind of like that gray area.
Yeah.
I feel because after Adam Cole's match with Pat McAfee was basically making him a face.
Yep.
Even though technically the Undisputed Era really isn't a face group. But I felt that that's that gray area. And Finn Balor is kind of in that gray area too, because you don't know if he's heel or he's face. It's that gray area. So I think having Tommaso Ciampa going up against Balor or Cole would have been the way to go, rather than Balor fighting Cole, because I think basically the writing is on the wall right now for Balor. I mean,
obvious. Yeah. You're not going to Cole back the title that we had it for 403 days, whatever. And it's like, I don't know. I agree. I think I don't even know why you would make that match a draw when, like you said, it's going into the main event for the belt just seems very obvious as to who's going to get it. And, you have Balor back now. He's reinstating himself into NXT and getting himself back in there since, he did another one with the main roster woes. So requesting to be on NXT, I mean, Jesus. So, I could definitely see them. I would say it seems pretty clear that they're going to want him to have a big run down there.
And Cellcom actually just brought up a really good idea, a pretty good idea, which I'll put on the thing. He says, I think they're planning Demon Balor versus Karrion Kross when he comes back, which that could be a fantastic match, because Karrion is a specimen. And I mean, that dude is an awesome wrestler. He's got an awesome intro, great mic skills. He's a guy that I could see them just throwing up to the main roster in no time, and it's kind of almost like AJ Styles. AJ Styles had one match in NXT. And then the next night he was up in the Rumble. He was up in the Rumble on the main roster.
It's a tune-up match for him. Those kind of guys, it's just they're literally just warming up and they're going. But that would be awesome to see that. That would be awesome. The other thing I'll say about NXT too, I thought that the opening tag match was very good. I thought that was good with Breeze and Fandango, and
Breeze and Fandango are killing it right now. Those guys are getting their just dues, which is great.
Yep, and you got another guy, Tyler Breeze, another guy who was supposed to come up and be pretty much main event status, and what happened there? He talented dude. It's really unbelievable. They're trying to say NXT is not like the minor leagues or whatever, but to me,
it is.
How is it not? If you're calling if you're saying, if you use the term like call up, I mean, to me, that's like, I equate that to baseball. I equate that to sports. Like, you're obviously below main roster is main roster, period.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, to me, NXT is like what, in a lot of ways, what ECW was to WWF, way back when, even though no one really knew that until kind of afterwards. That Vincent Heyman, would talk, and that he would scout some guys out and whatever, and swap them and pay for whatever royalties you have to pay for music and all this other shit. But, so it's like, it's the same exact thing. So as far as that goes, as far as, minor leagues and major leagues go. But I thought that was a good match too. And that Iron Man match was excellent. And the fact that they put on, an hour-long match with no crowd, that was hats off.
It was an entertaining match. I was glued to the TV.
Me too. It was an excellent match. But those two matches I thought were really good.
Impact Wrestling. It's funny because they're like, I try to watch Impact Wrestling and I have a really hard time. The only reason I really watch it is for Brian, just to show him some love and some support. It's so hard. I mean, they had a handicap match with two guys against Rhino. And, they're working really hard now to try to bring Heath. Well, he goes by Heath now in Impact. So, but know him as Heath Slater, the leader of 3MB. I'm a 3-man band. We got that going on. Rhino's getting his ass kicked throughout the match. Something happens, and then all of a sudden, Heath just is like on the side of the ring as a cameraman. He puts the camera down, goes into the ring and does a move, and Rhino winds up winning. So I'm wondering if they're going to reunite them as a tag team at some point. I would love Heath to come out and be like, I got kids.
I would love to see that. I thought they were great as a tag team in the WWE. I really enjoyed that little run that they had. That it seems like that's where that's probably going. And I'm right there with you with the, Impact is tough, but I try to watch for Myers, Gallows, Anderson, those guys.
I watch to support all those guys that left WWE. Which again, dude, I can't believe they let go of Gallows and Anderson.
Unbelievable. And they made them into clowns while they were there. Anyway, it's not like they did anything. It's just those are two more guys, perfect examples of guys they just didn't ruined.
Yeah, actually, another underutilized tag team. And especially right now, where WWE, in my opinion, is hurting bad for tag team matches.
Oh, they could AEW's got a bevy of tag teams.
Their tag team division is stacked
up the fucking ass with tag team.
Stacked.
So.
Eric Young winds up beating Eddie Edwards, so now Eric Young is the new champion, I guess. And actually, you know what? Speaking of that, it's actually really confusing because he's the TNA champion or he's the Impact Wrestling champion, and then you have this guy Moose who's the Impact Wrestling champion. And they have like two champions. It's either TNA or Impact, and it's very confusing to follow along because there's Eddie Edwards and Eric Young having this storyline, and now there's another storyline with this guy Moose, and he's fighting back and forth with EC3. So it's like it's kind of hard to follow along with their storylines.
EC3 would have been nice to see elsewhere.
Yeah, again, another guy that had an amazing talent and totally underused.
That interview when it was his first opportunity to speak, and they didn't allow him to speak a word, and Moxley just embarrassed him on Raw. Yeah. At one time. After that, that was it. That was literally it. He had no chance, no shot at any. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So that was really all there was to talk about on Impact. And then now we're moving over to AEW. So last week, for all you guys that know, Adam Page caused the Young Bucks to lose that tag match, and they basically kicked Adam Page out of the Elite, and all of a sudden now the Young Bucks come out with Jurassic Express, and they're all business. Their music hit. They didn't come up and do their pose. Right. They were just all business, and I hate to see that because I like watching the Young Bucks, and to see them just all business and dealing with this whole Hangman Page thing, it's kind of unsettling.
It is. It does make for a good storyline though, and that's another match coming up on this card where I actually think FTR is going to win tonight. Because I think eventually, I think you're going to see FTR Bucks sooner than later. And yeah, I guess there could be a swerve where Paige helps them win or something. I don't know, but I think FTR is going to win tonight. Kenny and Hangman, they've had the belts for a while. They need to be, get back into the singles realm anyway. They're so many tag teams now. It's like, I don't even know why they did that. I wouldn't have even done that. Kenny Omega to me is the best wrestler on the planet. So
yeah, yeah. I don't even understand why they put them together as a tag team. Kenny Omega and Adam Page and the Hangman Page need to be doing singles matches. They shouldn't be a tag team. They're two major talents on that roster, and I feel like putting them together as a tag team is just kind of like underutilizing their abilities.
Yeah, especially when you don't have a shortage of good tag teams in AEW.
You don't. You've got Best Friends. You've got a Jurassic Express. You've got the Butcher. The Butcher. You've got Order. You got Santana and Ortiz. I mean, you got all these tag teams.
Yeah, a million tag teams. So I like FTR tonight. But at least it's good because it's one of those things where it's like you don't know, but it's not like it's like the pairing of them which is separate doesn't really make much sense to me. But at least booking wise, I would think FTR wins tonight, but I guess you never know. The whole thing with Paige has been weird and kind of mysterious, so it makes me want to see how that plays out.
Yeah. So Jason in the chat right now is saying Paige to join Tully, the FTR, and Spears, and he's saying it might be the new Four Horsemen.
Oh.
So that could be interesting.
That could be interesting. Tully freaking Blanchard.
This is my problem with a lot of this stuff. Is that I feel that there's already way too many factions in AEW.
There are a lot. I mean, there were a lot in New Japan too. I mean, even this hat, it's the Golden Elite, which is the Golden Lovers plus the Elite, and then you had the Bullet Club and these sub factions. Although I still think at that time this is all pre AEW.
Like you've got the Elite. You've got the Inner Circle, you've got the Dark Order, you've got the Gun Club, you've got the Nightmare Family. There's just, to me, there's too many factions, and I don't personally like that because I feel like it takes away from other people that are taking a back seat in the faction. So like, here's my problem right now. Matt Cardona comes over, right? Super excited, super happy. That's great that he's part of the Nightmare Family, but do you really think the dude's going to get a singles push?
Yeah, and then he's just going to be lost in the fray. And then you have the Natural There's that tag team.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a lot, and it's just a lot to keep up with, and it doesn't make it special.
Yeah.
NWO, it's like that's all anyone needed to know.
Yeah, that was it. It was NWO for life.
Like, depending on which way I turn my gun, you could be in a different group. It's hard to keep up with. So kind of makes me turn the gun like that. So it's like,
and then we've got Kenny Omega doing his interview where they were talking about that, and then of course FTR comes out, and they do this whole thing where like, hey, we know you. Here's a thing of chocolate milk, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? And then of course, it looks like they're about to scrap. And Hangman Page comes out, and he looks like he's already freaking hit like 5 bottles. He's 5 bottles in already.
Hasn't slept in about 3 months. But at least he looks on a toy hunting binge. Yeah,
he's on a toy hunting binge. So he trying to track down those AEW figures.
He can't find the fucking Cobra Troopers to save him.
So he comes out, and you can tell already that they're more than likely during that interview they're going to drop the belt to FTR at All Out tonight, because it's just you can see Omega fighting Adam Page, and then you can see Omega being part of the Elite. You could see the whole thing again. It's some of these storylines are just so predictable you could see it coming from a mile away.
Yeah, and it's like you kind of hope that it's not that obvious, because even the way that interview ended, where Kenny's on the outside of the ring and Page hand him his belt, and he's not there, and he turns around, and Omega just like walks away. I mean, if it's set up, if it's going to be set up to be that obvious, but again, what else could it be? I don't see them retaining the belts. I really don't.
Yeah.
So, and FTR again, like I think the idea is, to get FTR versus the Bucks at some point soon. So I definitely see them winning, and I'm also happy to see them doing their thing here too, and not getting embarrassed on the fucking 20th Raw reunion by DX.
Yeah,
I mean, like, dude, I mean, so many things. I'm just like I have so much PTSD from the past, like fucking 10 years. Any one of these guys we talk about, there's just like an embarrassing moment or 5 or 10 that you could just easily cite.
I love how OG Geek is trying his hardest right now to like be part of the chat because he knows nothing about wrestling. He's like, I used to have an Omega. Yeah, probably an Omega watch is what.
Well, I was going to say a watch. Yeah.
So I love the fact that he's trying. I appreciate it.
He's still in the chat. He said I did see him say, did the chief financial advisor stop making music for the WWE?
Yeah. So, I love the whole Orange Cassidy Jericho feud.
Yeah, me too.
I love that. I think Orange Cassidy is a talent. I think given the right motivation and the right push, he can go really far.
Yeah.
I hope he wins. I hope he wins tonight. It was funny that, of course, he's got to be sitting, ringside while Jericho's beating the shit out of some jobber, and then basically, after the match is over, Orange Cassidy comes in the ring and, he's drinking a little bit of the bubbly and, all this shit. And it's like, it's like, I like the guy. It's like, he's like part hipster, and like trying to like be cool kind of thing. So I kind of like that, not a very talkative guy, very quiet, but I like it.
I'm a big Orange Cassidy fan. I actually have something, a quick story to tell you about him in a sec, but that whole segment was good. Jericho comes out wearing the Orange Cat. They were kind of ribbing each other, wearing the Orange Cat shirt, beats the shit out of Joey Janela. And then Cassidy comes in with a little bit of the bubbly, and then they scrap a little bit. I can see that, and that's been a great feud. I think it seems pretty clear that AEW wants to push. Seems like they want to push Orange Cassidy to the moon, and it seems like Jericho's at a point in his career. See, here's the thing with this match: I could easily see it going either way. I'm going to lean in towards Orange winning, and the only reason I say that, I think what really pushes it over the edge for me is I like the imagery of that win. I can see. The only thing I can see is Jericho in a vat of fucking mimosa, orange mimosa, flipping out. I can't see Orange, that. So for me, it's like, even though there are other factors that make me think like, oh, well, Jericho and the Inner Circle kind of need to gain some more traction. However, Jericho's at the point of his career where he's looking to do right by the promotion. He's already, even in the things he says, he is pushing. Yeah. Cassidy this entire time. And so definitely it can go either way, which is nice because it does leave a little mystery to it. But if I had to give the edge to someone, it would be Orange Cassidy. Speaking of which, so this guy, right, during my single days, I used to hang out in Belmar a lot. I used to go down to DJs. And for anyone then, in Jersey or that's or is a degenerate, ex-degenerate, whatever. So when I used to find YouTube videos of DJs, I found one this was like 10 years ago. I found one, and it was these dudes interviewing people that would come out of DJs at the end of the night drunk, and it was funny. This one kid that they interviewed, shirt off, shorts on, longer hair, like maybe down to his traps, little scrawny kid, and he's very drunk, and he's just like, or maybe he's just crazy. I don't know. He was definitely drunk. And they were asking why he likes DJs, and he's like, "Fucking girls, man! I love girls in Brooklyn." And this, and he had a fish in his hand, like a fish, like a 4-foot fucking thing. It was like bigger than him. He's holding it up and he's flipping, going crazy. So I saw this video way back when. I always rewatch it because for that dude, I'm like, this guy's fucking crazy. AEW starts, and shortly after that, my buddy said, he's like, "I'm going to blow your mind right now." He sends me that same video. He's like, "Look at this video." He's like, "An AEW wrestler is in this video." And I was like, "No way." And I'm looking at it. I'm like, "Who the fuck?" And I'm like, "This guy kind of looks familiar." I was like, "Wait a second." He's like, "Dude, it's fucking Orange Cassidy."
The guy with the fish.
The guy with the fish. I'm going to send you a link to this.
You need to send me that video.
It's fucking crazy to think that like 10 years ago, this dude's outside of DJ's drunk with a goddamn fucking fish in his hand, spewing nonsense, and now he's feuding with Jericho. So there you go, folks. Anything's possible.
But you know what? But that's great though. That actually, in my opinion, speaks volumes about Jericho. The fact that Jericho is willing to take a back seat to these younger guys to give them the push, which is great. The John Moxley versus Mark Sterling match, aka if you Smart Mark, if you watch the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, dude, that wasn't even like a match. That was just like a shellacking. You
know what, Smart Mark? I'll give him. He can bump around. I'll give him that. Yeah. He bumped around nicely. So
yeah. So that was awesome. And then of course John Moxley, of course, wins that match. Hands down. I mean, the only way I could see him losing that match is if they would have came out during the match and interrupted and cost him the match, but not really. And then of course Wardlow comes out and gives John Moxley like a bunch of fake F5s, which they're calling the F10.
F10,
it's like, come on, dude. And then of course MJF comes out with his walker and his neck brace, and he's like, going along, and he slowly throws the walker and then takes off the neck brace, and then just proceeds to go in the ring and beat the shit out of John Moxley. I personally like MJF. I think of MJF as a good mix of Ric Flair and Triple H.
Yeah, I could definitely see. Yeah, I could definitely see. I could see that was a brutal segment, and we never really saw that side of MJF before. I love MJF personally. I do not think he is going to win tonight. I think that Moxley's going to retain. I think that he's probably going to be a thorn in Moxley's side for a while, and I think that would be good. I think eventually when he does win, it would give it a little more meaning. But so I do think Moxley. I love MJF though. I think he should and will be the face of that company. One of them for sure. On the mic, he's fantastic. He's great in the ring. So I'm very, very high on him. That should be a very entertaining match.
I agree with you. I have a feeling that part of me likes to think that he's going to win, but then after thinking about it, I don't think he's going to win because he's pushing this whole MJF in 2020, 2020 campaign. And the whole thing in my opinion is that I feel that around election time, there's going to be a pay-per-view. And I think whoever the champion is, MJF is going to wind up beating that champion.
That's true. That's true.
And I think that'll play to the whole MJF in 2020 storyline.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think also too, I mean, Moxley obviously is a prevalent, arguably the most important character there, easily one of, right? 1A, B, C, D. I don't, and how usual textbook booking goes before a pay-per-view. He's not going to get the shit kicked out of him like he just did before this, and then also lose.
Yeah, we got a few people in the chat saying that MJF is actually a ripoff of EC3.
A little, I mean, there are elements of it.
Yeah, I mean, but in reality, if you think about it, other wrestlers have taken from other wrestlers. I mean, it's not
all the time. Mr. Kennedy ripped off fucking Stone Cold. A lot of people didn't realize that, the way he walked in the ring and yapped both sides, and you see it a lot. But it's kind of how you pull it off, though. I don't look at him and think of that. You know what I mean? It's again, I don't know that Moxley gets his ass kicked the way he did and then lose again. I think that's a character hit for him. He'd come out of that looking pretty weak.
Well, I mean, for any wrestling fan that has watched wrestling on a consecutive basis, what they call the go home show is basically the last show before the pay-per-view. So anytime that the face has beaten the heel has beaten the face before on that go home show, that the face is going to wind up winning that match.
Right.
The heel never wins, especially if he beats him up.
And also on top of that, you typically, when they don't have their finishers, like no paradigm shift, they always find a way to win. So I think Moxley's definitely going to
Renee Young's going to come out and interfere in tonight's match, and then while no one's looking, freaking he's going to hit the MJF with the paradigm shift, and that's going to be it.
Yeah. Right? Well, that's another thing too, I guess. Will there be a new sighting? Will there be a debut?
So that's a good question. From what I've heard about Renee Young, she's had actually offers from ESPN. So I don't know if she's actually technically going to stick to wrestling or what. But I mean, but obviously if she does go to wrestling, she's going to wind up in AEW.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
What I would love to see is the Golden Lovers, I would love to see Kota Ibushi in that's not going to happen, at least not anytime soon. I would love to see him.
Yeah,
I would love to see him reunite with Kenny Omega, and just to have him in AEW would be amazing. But obviously not tonight. But and there's also the Rusev thing, Miro. I don't know, Miroslav. I would like. It would be cool. It would definitely be cool to see him there. But it would be cool to see someone new tonight, which is there's always a possibility.
Yeah. And I mean that's basically it for AEW. As far as SmackDown goes, that Reigns Heyman promo, I don't know how I feel about Roman Reigns doing the heel turn. I mean, I know a lot of people are digging it because people just love to hate on Roman Reigns, so might as well just go with it. But Roman Reigns isn't the best on the microphone, and I think pairing him with Paul Heyman was a smart move because he can speak for Roman, but then again, are we looking at another Brock Lesnar scenario?
Right. I think. Well, I like the fact that they're trying to do that they're turning him heel, because if they can get him over heel, then his face turn is going to be fantastic, and that's obviously why people turn heel in the first place. But the one thing I think I don't know. I wish if they were going to do this and change him, like, can you get rid of that fucking Shield music already? Like,
give him some new music already.
Rid of it.
Yeah,
they got rid of Seth Rollins' old music, which
I hate. I hate his new music. I wish he just would have.
Terrible, dude.
I wish he just would have kept the old music, because anytime that shit hit and it goes, burn it, dude, I'd be so pumped. I'd be like, yeah,
Dude, I thought after Jimmy Johnston left the WWE, I think the last song he made was like Mrs. Song, Mrs. something, and then I was like, man, what are they going to do? CFOs have been awesome, and now they're gone, and it's like his music sucks. I just wish I don't want to hear Reigns anymore. Yeah. The Shield music, that's long gone. They should have changed that a long time ago. Get him some other outfit. I don't know, something. If you're going to make him heel like that, they changed his Titantron a little bit, or they added it looks like a dog, like a demon dog or something.
Demon dog.
But yeah, he's not good on the mic. I mean, he's just John Cena got the most of him out of him on the mic in their feud, and then he went and he cooled right back off again after that feud ended. So yeah, he's not inspiring on the microphone.
And I think they gave him the heel turn kind of like at the right time, because if you think about it, there were so many times that they could have done a heel turn with Cena, and they just couldn't. And a Cena heel turn would have been fantastic for that, rather than just him being a face for all those years. It would have been good to see something else, hustle, loyalty, respect, and like he would come out and rip that towel up in front of people, and it was like it could have been, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of shit for saying this right now. It could have been, in my opinion, a Hogan-esque turn. Mm-hmm. You had Hogan, who was training, saying your prayers, taking your vitamins, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm tired of you fucking people. This is bullshit. This is the new world order of wrestling. You could have had Cena easily pull something like that off.
Yep.
And it would have been great. And
I wonder with him,
the problem was that he was just such the face of the company. He was doing all the Make-A-Wish stuff. The kids were so high on him, and it was just hard to make that turn.
And totally. And I actually think he's the last guy that actually had full or like real creative control over his own character. And I actually think he wanted to stay face. I think that was mostly his choice past a certain point. But and then now after him, obviously, it's no one has a say in anything, including what they do on social media. But yeah.
But I think it's going to be good for Reigns to have Heyman. I kind of see a foreshadow of the next WrestleMania where they're going to set up probably The Rock versus Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of foresee that, and I would hate for them to only bring The Rock back to have him lose to Roman Reigns. If you're bringing The Rock back, he's got to come back to win. You know, that's just my take on it. If
that's true, though, it's kind of a tough booking because like The Rock's only going to come back for that one match. So are you going to build up Roman Reigns to get to WrestleMania to fight The Rock, then to lose? That kind of makes Reigns. I don't know. You know what I mean? And I like the change of look that I like. At least they're trying to go in a different direction with him.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it pans out. The roadmap for him the next like 12 months.
And obviously, we saw this shit coming from a mile away with the Bayley Banks feud. I mean, you know, after Sasha Banks lost the title to Asuka, you know, we knew that as soon as Baszler and Nia Jax teamed up, that the whole thing was going to be over. And I mean, we've seen the Banks Bayley feud like so many times already, and it's like, we get it. You know, you've got nothing for them. You're reaching for stuff.
Yeah, whoever the booker is that keeps making this decision to do that. I don't, as broken Matt Hardy would say, he's a real hole in the ass. I don't get at all.
So Jason actually just said something interesting in the chat, which I'll put that up on the screen. He's saying, rumor, Sasha got beat down because she might have to leave to push Mandalorian because she might be Sabine Wren this season. Oh. Well, she at least might be on the show. That's why she took time off last year. Interesting.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either. I thought that's interesting if that's the case, but still, I mean, again, we've all seen the Sasha Banks Bayley turn, whether one was turning on one or on the other, and to me, it's just old recycled crap.
Yeah, I would, if that's the case, and you're just gonna kill her off, just have someone fake beat her up, have her go off on fake injury, and then you know what I mean? Just I don't know. It's the women's division. I'm very soft on the women's division right now.
They're missing so many people. We're like, where the hell's Lacey Evans? You know, where's Naomi? Where's Naomi? Where's Camilla? You know, where are all these people?
I don't. I know. We are seeing the same. These are the same people that started the girls and the women's division back in 2015. At one point, the women's division was better than the dudes.
Yeah, the storylines they were putting out were way better.
Their first Royal Rumble that they had was awesome. It's like.
Yeah. Sami Zayn comes back claiming that he never lost the belt, which he didn't.
No, he did not.
And then of course, obviously, Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles are thrown into this. Obviously, we know where this is headed. At Night of Champions, there's going to be a three-way match for the undisputed Intercontinental Championship, which at that point could be interesting because for those, and I'm sure you know this, Sentry, AJ does not like Paul Heyman.
Right.
And the whole reason AJ moved from Raw to SmackDown was to get away from Paul Heyman because it was Paul's Heyman that decided to get rid of Gallows and Anderson.
Yep.
So that's the problem. So now that Heyman's back on SmackDown and Seth Rollins is going to be leaving at some point for Becky when they have the baby, it makes me wonder if this is maybe a setup or a foreshadow to have AJ jump back to Raw so they have a star on Raw.
A real star, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a real possibility. And he kind of, he belongs. He belongs on Raw anyway. And if you're gonna have Reigns on SmackDown, I'm trying. Yeah, that definitely makes sense to me. Again, he shouldn't be on SmackDown anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, again, well, and the thing is too is like you've already got Reigns, you've already got Braun Strowman, you've already got Bray Wyatt.
Right.
You've got three big names right there. Jeff Hardy is still. I feel Jeff Hardy's like one of those guys that's kind of like at the tail end of their career. Big E, I feel like is due for a big singles push, which brings me back to what I said in the beginning of the video when we were getting to SmackDown. I feel talking about like breaking, like groups breaking up. I feel that they're going to break up the New Day, and Big E's going to get the singles push that he's been waiting for.
Yeah.
So who knows how big of a name he's going to be. And then some of these guys like AJ and Sami Zayn and Jeff Hardy might get lost in the fray.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you have so many guys. You have Orton, you have Keith Lee now.
Yeah.
You've got, like you said, you have Bray. Still, there's Dolphs hanging around. So it's really just a juggling act. These guys, they're kind of just need to rejigger the rosters, I guess, based on people's personal schedules and everything else going on. So, I could definitely see AJ moving. I think SmackDown has enough where they have enough for storylines that are building. And especially with the emergence of Big E, which we're starting to see. He's starting to roll in the singles division, and that's long overdue as far as I'm concerned. He's an awesome wrestler. What they did with New Day obviously was not expected.
No, and it worked out fantastic.
Amazing. They turned some shit gimmick into one of the best tags. It's going to go down as they're going to be Hall of Famers.
Yeah, absolutely, hands down.
But I'm glad that he's getting his shot at singles competition because he's an awesome talent. And in my opinion, it's long overdue. So that is one thing I'm actually happy to say that I'm seeing right now is him getting that push.
So also, since Jimmy Uso is hurt, they've really got nothing to do with Jay. So Jay gets thrown into this four-way match and somehow winds up pulling off an upset over, Sheamus and Matt Riddle and Corbin. No, I could have
Matt Riddle, by the way. I love Matt Riddle.
Yeah, so I could have maybe seen them giving Matt Riddle the push, but
I would have liked it.
But obviously, they like the whole family versus family storyline in a roundabout way. So now you're going to have Jey Uso fight Roman Reigns at Clash of Champions, which we all know that Roman Reigns is going to probably fucking bury Jey Uso. And that might be the start of what I feel might be what I mentioned earlier, where The Rock is going to wind up fighting Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns is going to blow through The Rock's whole family. Next thing you know, he's going to show up on Raw and beat up Nia Jax.
Let's see it.
I mean, he's going to blow through the whole Samoan heritage, and The Rock is going to be left. And I feel that's the setup.
It's like I didn't think that far into it. I thought as far as like what is right in front of us. If you're going to have anyone out of these guys, they're making it personal with the family angle. But the Rock thing, it is interesting. What's even more interesting to me is, as we were talking, speaking to earlier, how does that end? It's like, what does that finish look like? Another fucking DQ finish or some sort of draw?
In all honesty, if I don't know the extent of Jimmy's injury, but it would be interesting to see Jimmy come out and maybe screw Roman over and Jay gets a title.
That would be interesting. If The Rock doesn't win clean, then I could see The Rock winning.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. But I'm sure that's not going to happen. I'm sure Roman's going to blow right through Jay, and that's going to be it. So that's basically what we're caught up on for right now for the week. I do have a special story that my good buddy that was on last week, The Nightmare, sent me, which I thought was really interesting. And so there was this story that came out yesterday that Vince McMahon will be punishing people, superstars who are on YouTube, Cameo, Twitch, any kind of social media outlet. And the funny thing is that not only does he own their in-ring names, he actually owns their actual names. So that, to me, that is really interesting. So you have guys like AJ Styles that has a gaming Twitch channel, which is really great. So now he's going to have to shut that down. You've got Xavier Woods, who's been killing it over years with up, down, down. So you mean he has to stop that now? It's like, how can you expect these guys to just stop? Part of me likes to think that maybe Vince McMahon is being greedy and he wants a cut.
Yeah.
Or the other part of it to me is that, he doesn't want people talking about stuff because AJ Styles actually said on his Twitch feed that he was off TV for as long as he was is because he had COVID. Right. Vince McMahon didn't want that getting out. but that's still no reason to punish people from what I would like to call maybe like their side hustle.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole independent contractor thing's out the window.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think it's extended to YouTube though yet, right? I don't think the YouTube platform has hit yet. But I mean, with Cardona and Myers when they were doing their channel on the WWE when they were in WWE,
it was figured out when they were doing it.
So I mean, like, and they had the stranglehold on that. So
yeah.
It's really crazy, man. It's another one of those. Yeah, I think it's 100% greed. I think it's 100%.
I hate the fact that he's doing that because it's like he's taking away people's voice, and and it just goes to show that exactly, like, I don't even know if you heard this. When Brian Myers debuted on Impact, he cut a promo. And the promo was great because to insert the quote that one of the quotes that he said was, "I'm not going to have my career determined by some 70-year-old guy that's out of touch." And I was like, clearly that was a shot at Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the fact that that's the case, and other wrestlers that have left WWE and have come out and they've said that. I mean, clearly there's an issue that needs to be fixed.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, the one thing you always hear about guys that have moved over to AEW or just are in AEW, whether they were in WWE or not, they all say the amount of creative freedom that they have in AEW is night and day from anything else they've experienced, whether it's WWE or anywhere else. Yeah. You can tell in some of those promos. Eddie Kingston, I feel like is one of, they give them room. When Taz is on the mic, that reminds me a little bit of Taz a la, it's ECW, the ECW days where he's cursing and he's getting at you like kind of just like an aggressive thought.
He gets animated.
Yeah, and it's like they're allowed to go to certain play, and that's not even a big deal. But like they literally couldn't do any of that shit in WWE, and still can. So it is refreshing to see that. I also like Eddie Kingston. I think for the Casino Battle Royal, if I'm going to have to pick someone.
but yeah, it's just a shame that it has to come to that these guys are so limited to their freedoms. And and the funny thing is that I actually had the opportunity to meet Matt Cardona, and I met him just random coincidence. Me and George went to Galaxy's Edge when they opened up the new Star Wars ride, and I met him, and I had like a 20-minute conversation with him, and he was like the nicest freaking guy. And I basically, the first words out of my mouth to him were like, "You're awesome as a wrestler. I think you're totally underutilized, and I don't appreciate what they're doing with you." And he kind of like knowingly like smirked at me. So like, they know. And then I asked him, I was like, hey, listen, if you tell me no, that's fine. I'm not going to get upset. I'm like, is there any way that I can get you on my video real fast for my YouTube channel? And he basically said, he told me flat out, he goes, I would love to. He goes, I have no problem with that. He goes, the only issue is that my contract won't allow me to do that. And that's when he was still and that's when he was still with WWE. So it kind of only makes sense. Hey, Big Dub is in the chat. Stick it in long and hard. What is up, Big Dub? Squeeze it, kiss it, rub it, do whatever you want.
Package. Oh, yeah.
But I'm gonna try to get Big Dub on to see if he wants to come on next week or something like that, because I know he's a big wrestling guy too. So he's another guy I want to get on the show.
That would be a great guest for sure. Yes.
But yeah, man, like I would have loved to have him on, but it's just again, Vince McMahon is just so methodical in the way that he does these contracts with these guys, and it sucks. It really sucks.
Yeah, controlling for sure.
But guys, we have reached the high point of the video. It is that time to say goodbye. So, guys, thank you for joining us. My man, Sentri, thank you for jumping on, bro. I really appreciate it. Great talking with you. It was awesome talking wrestling with you, man. Awesome. Super knowledgeable guy. Guys, I also left the link in the description below for his channel, so make sure you go check him out. Show him some love. He's a great guy. His hunts are freaking hilarious. YouTube detectives, people. We need to make you a shirt. We need to make you a shirt that says YouTube Detectives.
That's right. Fuck them all, by the way.
So, you know, check out his stuff. As guys always for us at MCE, you know, be sure to give a thumbs up, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, we are on the road to 20K. We're less than 400 people there, so let's make that happen. Until next time, guys, I'll be seeing you when I'm jumping off the top rope, dropping that elbow. So I'll see you on next week's episode. Thank you, guys, and have a good night.
Adios, brother.
Yeah, brother. Oh, yeah.